This episode of WDW Today is being sponsored by Mouse Fan Travel. And you know what? Free dining is back, not just for the weird months like September. No, Disney's extended it on. It's valid for select nights from September 27th, 2009 to December 17th. That's right, 2009. So lots of great options there for free dining. But you know what? Choosing free dining might not be the best option, but you know who can help you make that decision? The travel agents at MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. That's right. They can go through with you your trip, look at what your needs are, and help you decide if free dining is best for you, or maybe you're looking at a different discount that might help you save the most amount of money down the line. Give Mouse Fan Travel a try. Visit them online at www.mousefantravel.com.
This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Wednesday, August 12th, 2009, and this is episode 603 of WDW Today. I'm Matt Hotchberg of StudiosCentral.com. Joining me on today's show is Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio. Mike, we've done 603 episodes now of WDW Today. Give us a report card. You think we're doing A work?
I think I think we got about 2 or 3 people listening at this point.
2 or 3.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we appreciate it, Todd and Cheryl Perlmutter. We appreciate it. Yay. Also joining us on today's show is Len Testa, co-author of the unofficial guide to Walt Disney World. Len, I got to tell you, I don't think you're working your statistician Fred Hazelton enough, because the Canadian computing infrastructure has been up for a really long time. Their uptime is amazing.
Yeah, it's I'll have to talk to Fred about that. I think we've just got better about when we bring it down. We're using those unused night cycles much more efficiently these days. Although, did you notice there was a suspicious computer outage in the Armenian computer network? I'm just saying. Yeah.
Also joining us on today's show is Mike Scopa, a senior feature writer and blogger for allears.net. Welcome, Mike.
603, Matt, huh? Let's do some environmental tests. Put up 2, 5, and 7.
7?
7?
Yes.
Yeah, 7.
And then,
All right, suckers. I went on that in my on my birthday trip too. I went on Soarin'
song.
Yeah, test track.
That's still got GM as a sponsor? Yes?
Yeah,
No?
can you believe it? Yeah.
No, I don't.
And the amazing thing was I tried to trade in the car that we were in using the clunkers thing.
Cash for clunkers.
And there was no more money?
Totally didn't work out.
So did the bailout money pay for the sponsorship that GM has to pay Disney? $5 million or whatever?
Also joining us on today's show is the fabulous Annette Owens of Manager Customer Relations and Group Services for MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. Welcome, Annette.
Hey, I'm going to have to go back and see how many shows I've actually been on, and then if I'm moving up the ladder off a guest status.
I think Philip, who manages the wiki, is going to have to take a look at that.
Yeah, really.
Well, it's Wednesday, and we're answering listener questions. Yep, even after 600 episodes, we still answer listener questions because we love you, especially you.
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 We're talking to you on the subway.
That's right. You, sitting next to Newell. The first question of the day is from Jennifer in San Diego, who writes, I all love the show, the book, the station, the site, the guests, etc. We're heading to the world on August 28th and catching the 3-day Disney cruise on September 3rd, and we can't wait. I was wondering if you know the status of Pal Mickey. If I haul my $80 mouse across country, is he going to function like he should? I know Disney said he would continue to work, but I assume that at some point that will no longer be the case.
I wonder if they're keeping up the infrastructure. It's hard to say. Why would they keep the infrastructure up when nothing is supposed to be using it? But yeah, I think it's.
I think he's still working. I haven't heard anything.
He's still working. Yeah, I haven't heard that he's not. So.
Jennifer adds, also, we plan to see Fantasmic, and I like that there's an actual theater with seats, but what's up with the weird Pocahontas scene? Have any of you seen the Fantasmic in California? What do you think of the differences? Well, Annette, I mean, you've been to both coasts. What do you think of the differences in Fantasmic? Because in Fantasmic in Disneyland, there's a Peter Pan scene, whereas in Disney World at the studios, there's a Pocahontas scene instead. Annette, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Well, that, and I was still trying to figure out where the Pocahontas scene was. That's why I was going back. I don't remember a Pocahontas in Disneyland. Somebody else answer that one.
Okay, Len?
I didn't see Fantasmic. It wasn't running in.
All right, well, here, I'll answer this one. There's let me start this again. In Disneyland, for those who aren't aware, there's a Peter Pan scene, whereas in Disney World there's a Pocahontas scene, so you kind of switch the two between. I think the Peter Pan scene is better. I'm not sure why they changed it. I mean, I think my thought is, I guess, this came out at the studios. Fantasmic came in '98, so this is probably a little after Pocahontas came out. So I'm thinking this is Disney trying to capitalize on the film, but I really don't think it's quite as good as the Peter Pan scene. I think it's just a better thing. It's a better film overall, anyway. And I don't know.
You think Pocahontas is a better film than Peter Pan?
No. Quite the opposite. Peter Pan is better. Yeah. So I would prefer to see the California version over at the studios than the current version, but I'm not holding my breath for that one. Cool. Next email is from Brian Evans of Louisville, Kentucky, who writes, "Gentlemen, Annette and Len, I have a question."
Whatever.
Oh, I don't know where this is coming from.
Whatever.
I have a question for Len on the Hollywood Studios touring plan. I remember an episode a long time back about the Epcot touring plan, and Len suggested getting fast passes for Soarin' and then immediately to Test Track, arguing that doing this would get us ahead of the horde riding Soarin' on standby.
True.
Would the same logic apply to the Hollywood Studios touring plan? In other words, shouldn't we fast pass Toy Story Midway Mania and go immediately to Rock and Roller Coaster because this would get us ahead of the horde riding Toy Story Midway Mania standby?
Yeah, that's exactly what the touring plan is.
Okay. Is that what it is?
Cool.
Okay, well, that is a problem solved.
Well, there you go.
I am nothing if not consistent. And you know what the worst part is that Lou Mangello actually suggested that. And that particular combination, because we were doing it different. It's, the wait times are about the same, but the Toy Story, every minute the park is open, the Toy Story Mania Fast Pass return window bumps up 3 minutes. So so if the Fast Pass return window is at 10 a.m. when the park opens at 9, an hour later it's at 1 p.m.
I believe it.
Oh, definitely.
It's actually between 3 and 3.5 minutes per minute the park is open. It's by far the fastest distribution of any attraction in all of Walt Disney World. Interesting.
Next email is from Amanda from Euless, Texas, who's also known as Aurora 3000 at WDWtoday.com. Nice, Newell. Writes, "Hi, WDW Today gang. I'm visiting the world in December, and I'm wondering if you anticipate Disney bringing back the buy 4, get 3 free offer. If not, I'll be able to book under the free dining plan offer I received, but I'd like to save as much as possible. What do you think, Annette? Think it's going to happen, or think the free dining is it for this?"
There seemed to be a rumor about buy 4, get 3, because we had several clients coming to us going, do we take this? Do we wait for buy 4, get 3? Free dining's here, but there's also another fall offer that's out there that does beat free dining. With dining to it, depending on where you're staying and how many are in your party. Buy 4, get 3, I just don't know if it's going to come back.
I hope so. I think it was a much better deal than free dining is. I think that's really the new best deal possible. You know what I mean?
Oh, I thought it was great. It made people extend their trips longer. If you really were only going to go for 4 days, you'd stay longer and
spend more money.
You're going to spend more money instead of sitting and eating.
Next email is from Jim from Denver. This is a good Len question here. Having a small backpack or J-bag has been a huge benefit for my wife and I during our trips to the world. We've tried 2 different bags, and neither of them were perfect for a variety of reasons. We're looking for something that's durable, is comfortable to wear in the heat, isn't too big, is waterproof, and has some way to easily carry water-like mesh pockets on the outside. The main compartment will be used mostly to carry souvenirs and rain gear for 2 adults. It'd be great if it were also a good size to be brought as a carry-on for our flight. Do you have any specific suggestions for a bag like that you could take to the park?
So a slightly larger Camelback works, and if you take the water bladder out, it's a decent sized backpack. That's what I used to use by myself. So it'll handle two. I have the quart. I think it's a quart. Quart size one. It'll handle 2 water bottles on either side. I can fit an unofficial guide in the main pocket. And then, like a wallet and some other stuff in the other compartments. It's plenty big enough, yet it'll fold down to next to nothing.
Next email is from Caroline Baggerly, who's our biggest fan in Alabama. Did you know that, Newell?
No, I didn't even know we had a fan in Alabama.
That's right, we do.
I didn't even know there was an Alabama.
Alabama man.
Caroline's a blogger for you also, isn't she, Len?
She is.
Yes, very good. Caroline writes, going on a trip to Walt Disney World soon. Do you have any suggestions for places to eat off property? I recall hearing you talk about a pizza place. We'll eat most of our meals at the World.
So if it's Flippers in the Crossroads Shopping Center, right?
Yes, there is. Flippers is good. I prefer it's now NYFP Pizza and New York Pies.
Yeah.
Thanks to a legal matter for that. That's a little bit further away. It's at the corner of, or the intersection rather, of Route 535 and US 192. But I think both places are good, and certainly Crossroads has got some good places down there, Len. I mean, now they have that tomato place.
Pan Asian. Sweet
tomatoes. Yes.
Oh, did it finally open up there?
Yes. It's funny because down the road they have a sign that says "Come to Sweet Tomatoes," and they say it's right down the road in Disney's Crossroads. So I always say, "Oh, I didn't know Disney bought Crossroads."
They did own it at one time. Did you know?
Did they really?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe it's not terribly off. Caroline writes, P.S. I've been meaning to tell you that I too hate dinosaur. If forced, I ride with my head down and my eyes closed.
Oh, come on.
Is there really any other way to ride that ride?
She's a girl, though, Matt. Come on.
Exactly. She's
girl.
probably 8.
And what
too.
does that mean?
A girl with
Wait a minute.
Yes,
I ride dinosaur and I don't have my head down. Come on.
Very nice. Next email is from Gary Yeager of Suwanee, Georgia. I have a question. TouringPlans.com calendar question. It recommends the Disney's Hollywood Studios on a Sunday. Disney's Hollywood Studios has extra magic hours in the evening on that same day. And we arrive on that day, and we expect to be at the parks around 4 p.m. With both of those, with obviously the studios having extra magic hours, will it really be the best choice for crowds?
Yeah, so Matt, you can confirm this, but I don't think that off-season evening extra magic hours on a Sunday at the studios gets that crowded, relatively speaking.
Yeah, it's not like, I think Magic Kingdom attract them certainly more than that. And, you're there. I mean, the other thing you might want to consider, Gary, if you're an annual pass holder, I say go for it. What do you got to lose, right? If you're a resort guest getting there around 4 o'clock, it's a tough call. I mean, if the studios closes at, let's say, 7 o'clock, that gives you normally 7 o'clock. With extra magic hours, it gives you 10. So now we're looking at, 6 hours? Would that be worth it for you, Scopa, for a regular park ticket to burn for 6 hours?
6 hours. I'd that's close. I'd say maybe 8. I'd go for 8. I don't know about 6.
I think you got to have a work day fit in there, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Next email is from Rachel Anthony, who writes, "Hey, Matt, Mike, and Len, and any fabulous guests." That's you and I. I've been a loyal listener since episode 120 and caught up on the previous episodes. You guys have answered 2 questions from the past and in a timely fashion to boot, and I pretty much take everything you say as the gospel truth. During both episodes of Snacking Around the World, I listened rapidly while attempting to live vicariously and actually plan to keep those episodes on my iPod forever. I'm also having a hard time taking Running is a Cruel Mistress off there, but that's another story.
So Newell, I in your honor on my trip in early August, I got the nachos when I was at. Dude, that is just a ton of food.
Try having it at 11 o'clock, and then having the
that was the first thing on that. That was almost as bad as your Danish.
Yeah, that was another thing I shouldn't have done. Although I didn't. And the other funny thing is too. So not to segue off the listener question, but I actually went almost 2 complete days without coffee.
Wow.
I know, because it was so hot. I was like, the idea of holding a hot beverage in my hands when it's 94 outside just didn't seem appealing. So I actually went 2 days without coffee until I realized I was yelling at when they pulled me off of Donald after me slapping him in the head for something he said or I thought he said, whatever. I realized that it was time to start popping caffeine pills. Anyway.
Rachel adds, maple syrup. People groan at the thought of drinking it, but I noticed that nobody who actually had drank it was complaining. So perhaps you can understand how last weekend, when I found myself with an unopened 1-ounce bottle of maple syrup from Cracker Barrel, where my mind went, WWLD. What would Len
do? What would Len would
I thought to myself, and despite the fact that I'm a 29-year-old mother of 2, I chugged the thing. It burned a little on the way down, but it was delicious.
Just like love. It burns a little on the way down.
Okay, but that bottle at Cracker Barrel was smaller than what we chugged. Is it not, Newell?
Yeah.
But it wasn't that bad. I mean...
it was really sweet and good.
Well, here's the thing, and this... I listened to both those episodes since, and the fact that Len did that last made it sound more gross than it was when we did it first.
Yeah.
I think it was easier going down because we did it first in the day as opposed to eating all that other stuff and then drinking it. That might have made me lose my lunch, so to speak, if we had done that last.
Rachel adds, hoping for at least, in huge capital letters, another 528 episodes. You ready for that, Newell?
Yeah, I'll get right on that.
Next email's from Matt from Kansas City. He writes, hello, everyone. I just have a jumble of questions for you. Are the bus routes and stop sequences published somewhere? I'm going to the world soon and wanted to know the bus schedule so that my children have to spend the least amount of time in the bus. We're staying at Old Key West, and the kids are 5, 3, and 7 months.
Listen to the previous episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, listen to Monday's episode about that there, Matt. But, Len, you don't know of anywhere where the bus routes are actually published, right?
No, I'd love to see it. I mean, all they do is give generalities, and the reason is that, remember, Disney's bus routes are dynamically generated based on their how many people are waiting in line at any given resort. So it's not like a city bus where they have specific routes that run at certain times every day. If there's no one waiting at Animal Kingdom Lodge, the Animal Kingdom Lodge bus stop at Epcot, and there are 50 people over at Port Orleans, the Animal Kingdom Lodge bus will go to the Port Orleans people and pick them up.
Right.
Do you remember they used to publish a timetable?
No, really?
Timetable too?
Yeah.
Really?
I have
they
it.
did. That
Yeah,
was very depressing.
I have it. It's very difficult to read, but they did. You know what? I'll have to find it. Maybe I'll bring it to next time I see you, Mike.
All right.
Which would be last week.
Which would have been last week. Next theme, Matt writes, also, I made ADRs for dinner at the parks and resorts, but I was wondering if you can make multiple ADRs for the same time at different locations. That way, we may have options, and we can choose from where we want to eat depending on our mood, and of course, cancel the ones we won't use. Ooh, this is some gray area over here. In terms of, this is Newell, this is a moral conundrum.
Oh, no.
No, a moral.
Yeah, talk to those people going in September that have free dining and can't find a place.
I'm thinking, Matt. To be, I mean, I there's some things I advocate. I think this is one that I don't advocate. First of all, you'd have to be kind of sneaky around it because you have to give them different phone numbers so they couldn't link you in the system. But I wouldn't do it. I think you have to, make your plans and stick to them, and by make multiple reservations at the same time. Inevitably, even if you cancel them that same day, someone is going to have called at some other point between when you made the reservations and when you cancel them, looking for that reservation time, and you may have taken up that spot. So I'm thinking that you really shouldn't do that. I think the better solution for you, Matt, is to be aware and be cognizant of some of the restaurants that allow you to maybe sit at the bar and eat. I know you have a kind of a big family over there, 3 kids, but something like maybe like the Tune-In Lounge for these prime time, the bar at Yak and Yeti that allow you to have sit-down meals without having to have an ADR. Otherwise, you have to make good plans and stick with them, I think. Good question for Annette here. Where would you guys get neat autographed books for the kids to get autographed when they meet the characters?
A lot. Funny you should ask. A lot of our agents keep them on hand. We like to make sure that our clients have them in hand when they get in the park, because you just never know who you might run into right when you get there. Obviously, you can get them at the gift stores right at the resort. So when you're checking in, you can go on and get them. I know when the kids were little, we were like, nope, we're not going to get them. We're not going to get them. And then 3 days into the trip, we were suckers and we got them. And then it was like, well, we missed this one and this one. And so if you even think you're going to do it, I'd say do it in the beginning. But something that's really neat and cool that you can do that's a little different is pillowcases and fabric pins. Just a little something different. The kids can go home and they can sleep on a pillow that you brought with you. You have a fabric pin, you hand it to the characters, they'll sign that pillowcase.
Nice.
So they can sleep on Mickey's signature.
You never watched that pillowcase, huh?
Fabric pins don't come out. That's fabric pins. They're permanent. They stay.
I learned something today.
Little crafts.
Yes. You're like our own little April Baker over here, giving us all this little
there you go, little
craft stuff. The next email is from Ken Kleiner of Hudson, New Hampshire, who writes, "Hi, all fabulous people." And Scope, I need your help with this one. I'm from some town that starts with a W in New Hampshire near Lake Winnipesaukee.
Winnipesaukee, yep.
Yeah, but she's from Witsawaka, New Hampshire. W-I-T-Z.
Wait, slow down. Let me get the pen. Okay, go ahead.
W-I-T-Z.
Yeah.
W-A-H-O-K-A. W-A-W-K-I.
3 W's of one word. Woo.
I'm guessing you don't.
What's a Hawakawi?
I thought you would know it. This is in New Hampshire.
No, I've never heard of that before.
Anyway.
But I know where Hudson is. Hudson is like 5 minutes from me.
Ken writes, okay. I'm really from easy to pronounce Hudson, New Hampshire, but I wanted to hear Matt stumble over that first one.
After all
Yeah,
that.
it doesn't exist, I bet.
Yeah, guess what, Ken? Delete. Next email is. I'm just kidding. I would feel too bad to get someone yelling at me. Ken writes, although Newell banned.
Yes, of course, banned.
Banned.
Ken, write back as soon as possible.
Ken writes, we have a trip tentatively planned soon and might consider going in the summer instead.
Welcome back.
We can't go in late August as we already have another trip planned somewhere else. In the unofficial guide, hit it, Mike. Crowd graph shows a dip in late July. Well, this already passed. But anyway, can you explain the reasoning for that? A Disney travel agent also said that late July is a relatively good time to go if going in the summer. We would be staying offsite at an exchange through Interval International. Len, can you talk about a dip in late July?
Yeah, so crowds actually weren't terrible in any of the parks when we were there in late July. I think by that time, late July, depending on which way the week falls and where the week begins in late July, generally by that time families are sort of looking for maybe one last quick trip to the beach or something before they start heading back to school. If they're doing any major trips like Disney, they would have either done it in June or around the holiday on July 4th when they can get an extra day off and save an extra day vacation. By now, people are starting to wind down, and I think that's why it's so good. Though, and plus the weather is just brutal.
Yeah. Next email is from Doug Lemon of Greetings from the Hoosier State. I'm a brand new listener to your show and love it.
Wisconsin? Just kidding.
Oh my gosh.
Though I feel like I should be embarrassed to be a 38-year-old professional who has a kid-like enthusiasm for all things Disney, it's nice to know there's someone out there who gets it worse. You've probably seen the Disney ad with the dad and son walking together at Disney World. They walk in front of the mirrored window, and the reflected images show two little boys. I'm that dad, and curiously, the effect doesn't seem to have worn off when we leave. My wife and I have 4 young kids and have been to the world 3 times in the last year and a half. As we already and eagerly anticipate our next visit, one of the frequent topics of conversation around the dinner table has to do with, quote, the economy and the crowds. After sharing with the clan recent announcements by Disney that park attendance is already declining somewhat, and wondering out loud how we might plan a trip accordingly, our oldest daughter responded with a look that was almost gleeful. She proposed, maybe the economy will be even worse in 2010. Guess that shows where our hearts are. My question, then, relates to forecasts about crowds at Walt Disney World over the coming months. You guys think about this stuff, study it, and consider the data. Granting that no one has a crystal ball to give a precise view of the future, even the near future, what can you tell all of us who are planning ahead for Disney trips? How is the economic mess going to affect crowds the remainder of 2009? Will the general crowd trends hold true? Have your crowd forecasts and estimations changed in view of recent events?
So, when Disney announced their second quarter earnings in late July, they said, when was it? July?
20, yeah. Well, I thought it was like 26% down or something like that.
Yep.
The earnings were down, but park attendance bookings, future bookings towards the end of the year, were down 7%, excluding the fact that there's an extra week in Disney's fourth quarter this year. So, because of the way the calendar is, they got an extra week in their fourth quarter for 2009 versus 2008. So their bookings look even, but if you exclude the calendar anomaly, it's down 7%. So crowds are going to be thinning out the longer you get towards the end of the year. In fact, we've actually said this before on the show. We noticed that once the original buy 4 get 7 deal ended,
I want that
June,
deal. Buy 4 get 7. I want that.
Buy 4 get 7.
Buy 4 get 7. Yeah, that's what you get.
7
buy
free.
4 gets.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't say 7 free. I said 7.
I'm finishing it free.
Yeah, it's okay.
Deal.
Yeah, right. We saw an immediate 3% drop in crowds, and that's what they're tracking to now. So between now and the end of the year, it'll drop another 4%, give or take. I mean, there'll be peaks right around holidays and stuff like that, but in general, that's what you're looking at.
Cool. Next email is from Lynn from Waterville, Maine, who writes, Hi guys, on episode 531, Chris from Massachusetts asked if third-party bought tickets can be put on the Key to the World. Your answer did match my experience. I bought 2 from Undercover Tourist and got cardboard tickets with the colorful pictures of Sorcerer Mickey and the spinning teacups. When we got to Scopa Towers, the concierge put the tickets on our room key card. we were able to keep the colorful papers as a souvenir. Love the show. That's good
Cool.
to know. Thank you, Len. Appreciate that.
No problem.
Thanks for answering for her, Len.
And answering wrong.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate the, being
No
correct.
problem at all. Yeah.
Next email's from Glenn Hushk of Aubrey, Texas. Where I'd say, Matt, Mike, and Len. Recently found your podcast, and I'm trying to burn through 180 some odd podcasts to get caught up. My family and I are going to the world in March of 2010. We've been twice before, and both times I've bought a competitor's book, Birnbaum's. I'm greatly interested in the unofficial guide, but I'm also a creature of habit. So what I'd like to know is, what does the unofficial guide offer that other books don't?
So we're a data-centric organization. We tend to analyze things and be fact-based in our approach rather than opinion-based in our writing. So if you ask us what, for example, what the best hotel rooms are, we'll talk about the theming and stuff like that because we're delicate, sensitive creatures as well. But we'll also compare things like the room lighting, the soundproofing, the pillow fluffiness, and the thread counts of the bed linens, which, according to our research, are very important things to people who stay in hotels. No other guidebook does that.
Yeah, I think in also in the defense of the unofficial guide there, and as it relates to Birnbaum's is a good book. But what the problem with it, what the problem that I have with it is that it kind of reads like a travel brochure. Everything's great and wonderful, and I think we all agree that there's stuff in Walt Disney World that isn't wonderful and great. And I think the unofficial guide doesn't hold any punches with it and says like how it is. So that way I feel better as a if I have the book, because then I'll know which things to avoid and which things I should definitely check out. Because there are definitely things that you highlight in there saying this is a great thing. Like we talked about, I'm sure it's going to make the book in the future edition. You talked on Monday how the Segway tour in World Showcase was such a great thing. That's something that needs to be said. But if the book is saying that everything is great and wonderful, how do you really know that?
Yeah, it's So that's a good point. Actually, we're one of the few books that will definitely doesn't see things through Disney colored glasses. There's a lot of stuff in Disney World that's either overpriced or just not worth your time. Absolutely. And we'll say that. So,
isn't the Birnbaum book published by an arm of Disney?
Hyperion, isn't it? Hyperion Press?
I believe so.
Might be.
I'll bite the hand that feeds you, Hyperion.
Next email is from Bruce Carlson, who's looking for a resort recommendation. I think it's a good email for Scopa. You ready, Mike?
Go ahead.
I'm hoping you read this in time for our 1971 vacation. The family is traveling to the new Disney World property in Florida, and here's that a Venetian resort on the Seven Seas Lagoon might be a great place to stay. Haven't seen any pictures, though. Any thoughts?
They'll probably be open no later than 72.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if that'll catch on, this Disney World stuff.
Yeah, it's a fad.
Well, I think it's time for our last question of the day, and that means I'll give Mike Newell 3 emails to choose from. One will be read today, and the other 2 will go back in the email queue to be read later. Are you ready, Mr. Newell? That is yes. The net giggle means yes. All right, Mike, here are your options. I need to tap into Len Ding Testa's brain-o knowledge.
Oh.
Throwing Hochberg a lifeline. Or magical depress.
Ooh. Oh, wow. Len, where do we go? Do we beat Matt up with the lifeline? Do we go with the bus?
Well, we pretty much know the reader's intent with the magical depressed thing.
Or do we want to pick your brain?
No, so let's go with the Matt thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, last email today comes from. Where is it from?
Yeah, he's going to mess this up too.
Chris Musrush, who writes, "Hello, Matt, Mike, Len, and Fabulous Annette. I felt that Matt needed a confidence boost with all those crazy, hard to pronounce locations like Oconomowoc, Wisconsin, Snoqualmie, Washington. That's where Becky's from.
Snoqualmie.
Piscataway, New Jersey. Schenectady, New York.
Piscataway. It's
Piscataway. Algonquin, Illinois, and Pecos Bills Frontierland.
Pecos.
This is Chris Musrush from Downs, Illinois, and I work in the town of Normal. No question for me this time. Please enjoy this momentary respite before returning to answer questions from listeners residing in such places as Lake Winnebagoshus, Puyallup, Ontonagon, Menominee, Susquehanna, Poughkeepsie, and the thriving metropolis of Lake. No way. This is not a real place. No. All right, here's what it is. You ready, Newell?
Go ahead.
Write this down. CHARGOGGAGOGGMANCH. We're only halfway through here. AUGGAGOGGCHAAUBUANGUNGAMAUGG, Massachusetts.
That's pronounced. It's pronounced Lake George. That's how they pronounce it.
Lake George. And he
sounded like a text message gone bad.
Spell it again.
to prove it, he sent me a picture of the sign of the town, and it really is true. Oh my god!
How big
Could
is
you
the
imagine
sign?
having the address label for that?
It's your worst nightmare, Hotchberg.
Wow.
Can you imagine licking that label? It'd be like running a spit halfway through.
Keep up the great work. WDW Today has been on my iTunes since around episode 110, and I absolutely love listening to and writing about the episode. Whenever I talk to folks about planning a trip to Walt Disney World, I always give them one of our old copies of the unofficial guide. We buy the new one every year, and suggest that they do too. Len, the check can be made out to me, and recommend they start downloading the show.
Yeah, Chris writes a great blog about the podcast. He does like a review of all the shows and all the episodes, and he's written some really good stuff about us. So, thanks, Chris.
Oh, after all that, he wrote, scrolled on the bottom of the email, and he gave me a cheat sheet over here, and I didn't get to see it.
Oh, buddy.
All this time you had a cheat sheet.
Yeah, I could have snow me and Piscataway.
Piscataway.
But for that one, that Lake Larch or whatever, he goes, you're on your own. Awesome. Well, you know what? That's going to do it for us today. Don't forget that this episode of WDW Today is being sponsored by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. And you know what? The 2010 dates are out now for Walt Disney World. That's right. You can start booking your trips for 2010. And after you go to the Unofficial Guide crowd calendar and consult which days are going to be best, why not give the travel agents at MEI and Mouse Fan Travel a call and plan your next trip to Walt Disney World. They can help you book your trip right away, so that way you can start your planning process right.
Yeah.
Give them a try. Visit them online at www.mousefantravel.com. If you want to find our older episodes, read our shows, or send us your comments, visit the WDW Today website at wdwtoday.com. For Len Testa, Mike Scopa, Mikey Newell, and the fabulous Annette Owens, I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you on the next show.
Stupid Judy, stupid energy.
This has been a production of Mouse World Radio.